So Billie Eilish said something political, and half of the internet told her that she should just shut up and sing. Meanwhile, Hulk Hogan can rip his shirt off at a political rally, and everyone's fine with it. Let me tell you something. This isn't just about celebrities. This is about who gets silenced and why. I'm Andriana. If you've been online at all in the last couple weeks, you've likely seen some version of this conversation online. Billie Eilish spoke out about something political. Specifically, she reminded Grammy viewers that no one is illegal on stolen land, and people got upset. They said she should just sing and that no one asked for her opinion. And here's the thing, I kept seeing this same phrase pop up over and over again. This phrase that kept giving me these flashbacks of Dixie Chicks and Bush era politics. And that phrase is, shut up and sing. It's this 4-word phrase that gets trotted out whenever a performer says something political that makes people uncomfortable. But here's the thing that I started noticing, and stay with me for a minute, that phrase doesn't get used consistently. And when you start paying attention to who gets told to shut up and who gets celebrated for being political, well, then the pattern, I think, is worth examining and discussing. So today we're going to stress test this whole shut up and sing thing. We're going to look at who it gets used against, who it conveniently doesn't get used against, and what it means for us when someone as successful and powerful as Billie Eilish can even be told to stay quiet. Let me say something clearly. I do not for 1 second believe that shut up and sing is a principle that people actually hold. It's a tactic that people use and say when they don't like what you're saying. And the proof of this is in who gets celebrated versus who gets silenced. Let's talk about Hulk Hogan for a minute. Said literally one person in all of 2026. Hulk Hogan is a professional wrestler whose peak relevance was in the 80s, maybe? He showed up at a Trump rally in 2024, ripped his shirt off, and got treated like a cultural moment. The crowd went wild. Conservative media loved it. Politicians posed with him to get their pictures taken. Headlines described him as energizing the crowd and bringing back iconic throwback energy. Nobody said, hey, why don't you just go grab your leotard and stick to wrestling, buddy? And this is the same Hulk Hogan that had that whole public racism scandal back in 2015. But when he shows up and he supports the right politics, well, that conveniently gets memory hold. His celebrity status added to his credibility. Like, we got Hulk Hogan. Ah. Now let's talk about Kid Rock. Yes, we have to. Kid Rock is basically a regular fixture at conservative political events at this point. I am honestly not entirely sure what else he's got going on. So he's performed at Trump-related events. He even headlined that MAGA branded alternative Super Bowl that just happened. His show generated lots of ridicule, lip sync allegations, and allegedly the president didn't even watch the MAGA branded alternate show. Supposedly he was watching Bad Money. Regardless, the way conservative media talks about him, he's authentic. He's saying what others won't. He's the voice of real Americans. What? Where? There's no shut up and sing energy. His profession doesn't disqualify him. If anything, it's treated as proof that he's one of the people that he gets it. Finally, and most recently, there is Nicki Minaj, and this one is important because it's just so blatant as well as recent. When Nicki Minaj started making statements that aligned with conservative talking points and engaging with certain politicians, the reaction from that side wasn't "stay in your lane." It was excitement. It was an unexpected ally. It was finally, she's seeing the truth, or she's brave for speaking up. Conservative influencers and media outlets shared her posts. They celebrated her. They recruited her. They treated her sparse political speeches as valuable. Now, liberal fans, on the other hand, were disappointed. They were confused. Some felt betrayed, justifiably so. But here's something interesting. Nobody on either side were saying, shut up and sing. That wasn't like a narrative that I saw surrounding Nikki as she came out as a conservative MAGA head. Her alignment determined how her voice was received. Think about that. If this were really about celebrities should stay out of politics, then the rule would apply no matter what side they were on, but it doesn't. And that's because the objection is not about performers being political at all. The objection is actually about which politics they're expressing. Same profession, same degree of celebrity, but different reactions based entirely on whether the opinion is convenient or not. That's actually not a principle, that's selective enforcement. And now that you see it and we know that, you can't help but see it everywhere. So now let's talk about Billie Eilish. Billie is 23 years old. She's massively successful. She has a platform that reaches millions of people. And when she speaks out about politics, about gun violence, about climate change, about reproductive rights, about any of the things that matter to her, she gets met with a very different energy than Mr. Hulk Hogan. She gets the just sing, no one asked, you're too young to understand. And it's not just random internet trolls saying this. Music producer Pharrell Williams once literally said in a 2024 interview that he gets annoyed by celebrity political endorsements, and he stated, quote, "What the heck? Shut up. Nobody asked you," end quote. That's a fellow artist. That's someone in her industry saying that out loud. LeBron James even gets dismissed and told to just shut up and dribble when he speaks up about racial injustice. Can you imagine? The pattern is everywhere once you start looking for it and you know what you're looking for. But here's what I need you to understand. Billie Eilish is not less qualified to have a political opinion than Hulk Hogan. She's younger, sure, but she has also built a business. She's navigated contracts, publicity, global tours, brand partnerships. She's employed people. She's made strategic decisions that have impacted not only her career, but the careers of the people that work for her. And she's done all of that with fewer bankruptcies and fewer felonies than some of the presidents that we have elected into office. But I digress. The point is, if we're going to argue that performers shouldn't be political, then that rule should apply across the board, but it doesn't, because this isn't about qualifications. It's not about age. It's not about whether someone should use their platform. It's about whether their politics make you uncomfortable. Because again, they've got people who peaked in the 80s being paraded out on these stages, and their speeches are being treated like value-added entertainment. The contrast isn't subtle. Young women's political opinions are often dismissed as emotional, naive, or performative, even when they're expressing the exact same concerns that other male performers express without backlash. Same action, different framing, and the difference is gender and age and whether an opinion aligns with conservative politics. So, no. This is not even really about a profession. It's about control. It's about who we're willing to hear and who we're comfortable dismissing. Okay, let's just zoom out for a second because Shut Up and Sing isn't just about one celebrity getting dismissed in a comment section. It does something bigger, something quieter, something that builds up over time. It trains people. When you hear just do your job or stay in your lane or no one asked for your opinion over and over and over again, well, you start to internalize that, not consciously, but you do absorb it nevertheless. You start to think, well, good point. I'm not a lawyer. Lawyers should talk about law. I don't have a degree in political science, so who am I to have an opinion? And that's the whole point of this whole Shut Up and Sing narrative, in my opinion. The phrase isn't just about keeping Billie Eilish quiet. It's about making sure that when you see someone like her get dismissed, you think, well, if she can't speak, well, I definitely can't. I see this play out all the time in my own work. I talk to women who are deeply informed, who read, who research, who think critically about political issues, and they still won't speak up. They'll say things like, I'm just a kindergarten teacher, or I'm just a stay-at-home mom, or I don't have a degree in this, so I probably shouldn't say anything. And I'm like, you're a teacher? Who cares if it's kindergarten? You mean that you're actually inside of the educational system that's actively being gutted, and you don't think that you're qualified to have a political opinion? It's beyond me. Wait a minute, you're a stay-at-home parent? Therefore, you're actively navigating healthcare, childcare costs, school systems, and yet you don't think that you get to talk about those issues? That's wild to me. Because who is more qualified than somebody actively living inside of the system? But that's what this phrase does. It convinces people that caring about something isn't enough, that being actively affected by something isn't enough. It tells you that unless you have the right credentials or the right title or the right degree, that your voice doesn't belong. And when enough people believe that, it makes controlling the conversation a hell of a lot easier. Because now you've got a population of people who think that politics is something that happens to them, not something that they actively participate in. And look, I am not saying everyone needs to run for office necessarily. I'm not saying that expertise doesn't matter, but I am saying that when we treat political speech and political offices like they're only for credentialed elites, then we're not protecting democracy at all. We're actually undermining it because democracy is supposed to be participatory, which is such a fun word. Not just voting every few years, but actually participating, actually speaking up about the things that affect your life. But we have built a culture where it feels inappropriate unless you meet some invisible qualification threshold. And I don't think that that's on accident, that's by design. So here's where this gets personal, because if someone as powerful as successful and as influential as Billie Eilish can be told to stay quiet, then what does that mean for the rest of us? Because let's be honest, most of us don't have millions of followers. Most of us aren't on magazine covers. Most of us don't have publicists or platforms or built-in audiences. I've had the opportunity to build a brand where our mission is to give language to women for political and cultural issues so that they can participate in these conversations more confidently. And one of the biggest barriers that I see is not a lack of education or intelligence or even interest. It's this internalized belief that they're not qualified to talk about it. To tell me I'm just a stay-at-home mom from a small town, who am I to have an opinion about politics and foreign policies? And I am saying, who are you not to have an opinion? You are affected by these policies, oftentimes more so than the current policy makers themselves. You're raising kids in this system. You're navigating healthcare, education, economics, instability, all of it. If you're not qualified to speak about the things that directly impact your life, who is? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But the conditioning runs deep. People stop speaking up at work because they don't want to sound too political. They stop posting about things that matter to them because they're scared of being dismissed or attacked. They stop engaging in conversations because they've been told implicitly or explicitly that they're not qualified, not smart enough, not important enough to be in these conversations. And that is dangerous, because here's the irony that drives me crazy. The current president of the United States is not a career politician. He didn't come up from law school or through government positions. He didn't follow any traditional path at all. He's a businessman and a TV host. He's a celebrity. And yet somehow people still think that artists or stay-at-home moms or teachers or regular people don't have a right to speak about politics. You see that contradiction, right? It's not actually about qualifications. It's about who we're willing to listen to and who we're comfortable silencing. If we're going to say that Billie Eilish isn't qualified to speak about gun violence, then on what grounds is anyone actually qualified? If being a successful career person does not qualify you, if it doesn't count, if having a platform doesn't qualify you, if being directly affected by the policies themselves does not qualify you, then what does? The answer, as far as I can tell, is agreeing with the right people. That's the only qualification that seems to matter. If you're saying what the people in power want to hear, then you're brave and authentic. But if you're challenging the status quo, well, then you're unqualified and you're out of touch. And that's not a system designed for democracy. That's a system designed to protect power. So let's bring this home. I am definitely not arguing that Billie Eilish, Hulk Hogan, or Trisha Paytas should replace politicians. And I'm definitely not saying that celebrities are always right or that their opinions somehow carry more weight than anybody else's. What I am saying, though, is disqualifying someone's speech based on their profession, their age, or the inconvenience of their opinion, well, that's a problem. Because it's never just about that one person, is it? It's about the pattern. It's all systemic. It's about the culture that we're building, where political speech is treated as something that only certain people are allowed to engage in. And that culture doesn't just silence celebrities, my friend. It silences all of us. It makes people feel like they need permission simply to care, or like they need credentials just to carry opinions, like they're overstepping if they simply speak up. And I reject that. I reject the idea that you need to have a law degree to have opinions about political policies that are impacting your life, especially if you vote and pay your taxes. A whole lot of people making policies right now are not paying taxes. What? Un-American. I reject the idea that you need to be a career politician to advocate for the things that you believe in. I reject the idea that certain people get to use their platforms while others need to stay quiet based entirely on whether or not their politics are convenient to the party that's currently in power. And I especially reject the hypocrisy of celebrating Kid Rock's political tomfoolery while telling Billie Eilish to shut up and sing. It comes back to being about control. It's about deciding who gets to be heard and who gets dismissed. And it's about making sure that the people who would challenge the status quo stay scared and quiet. And here's what I hope you take from today. You don't need permission to speak. You don't need to be credentialed or famous or perfectly informed. You just need to care and be willing to deal with the consequences of speaking up, because silence isn't neutral. So no, I don't think Billie Eilish needs to just shut up and sing. And I don't think that you really do either. If this kind of thinking is your thing, where we use pop culture to kind of unpack bigger power dynamics, then hit subscribe, because that's what we do here. And before you click away, make sure you drop one win from your week in the comments down below. We are building something over here in this corner of the internet where we actually cheer each other on, and I want to see what you're proud of. So let us know in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to overthink, shut up and sing politics with me today. Before you go out and boldly declare whatever it is you believe in, make sure you take some time to take care of you. Like, why don't you go have a nap? You deserve it.